German DAX. Now, this is like, I'm going to give you my insight and go over the trade that I took and also tell you what I did wrong, okay? So as always, like most of you will know in the community that I've had my range on the H4 as this. Now, the first thing to note is, all right, I did take a buy here the other week and it took profit. And then the first thing to note before today's price action, let me reset this scale so I can move it about. So we had an engineered low here. This was the fuel of the move. And then if you recall, we never got the opportunity to ride this momentum to take the high again. There was no valid sweep, okay? As soon as it ran this internal H4 high as well, you'll know that, again, I just called this out. I was like almost, I can't think of the word, but I was going over the price as it happened, okay? It was like a forecast slash mixing, like I was presenting what's happening to the whole community this week. And that's sometimes what happens. All you do is you present what's going on. Not only I do it to the group, but it's also for myself. I note down what happens, it holds me accountable, and it lets me know what I want to see. So we had an engineered, I'm having a great time with these drawing tools again. We had an engineered low here, okay? Sorry that it's small, I'll make it bigger. And if you recall, I put on the group a week and a half ago, right, that this is the most probable play now. Well, this is what I want to see for price to make it all the way back up to this high. Now, you might be asking why. Simple, because my range was so large. This was my range, right? We have not took 4-hour liquidity all the way until we liquidated this sideways price action, okay? All the way down here was the previous run on liquidity. So let me just draw this. This was the previous run of liquidity. Now, within the data, you'll know, I don't know why, but I'm having such a poor time with these tools. For some reason, the arrow maker is just not having it. This was the previous run on liquidity. And we've had this huge bullish range. Now, this here was all-time high, right? Let me just put it back on so it's nice and clear for you. This here was your all-time high, all right? When we ran into this, you will also remember that I was not looking to buy. Theoretically, we could keep buying on the 15-minute until it fails, okay? And it's valid. Now, I know that one or two of you took a position. I don't know why that's loading up. Sorry, something's loading on my screen. I'll just get to that. All right. Some of you took positions in this leg. As soon as we ran this all-time high, I was waiting for the pullback. When price goes up and down, it doesn't print structure, and it's hard to predict. Every time we take a high or a low, we eventually get a pullback. Now, the high probability trade is waiting. Not only that, all-time high is the all-time high. So it's a massive area of liquidity. So it's not just like typical structure, where for me, I view this as, okay, typical structure, if there's a lot of volume during session with a valid sweep, we can keep buying until it fails. Now, I made the decision, I was going to wait for the pullback. Now, then I called this pullback, right? This was our range. We started to pull back in this area. This is hour one, but this was where I drew my range. And then I wrote in the group, I think it was last Monday or Tuesday, what's going to happen? Well, we have such a large range like this. Is price likely to make it all the way down here? Or is it going to create a low on the 4-hour, run that low, and then go to the external? Now, I called this out last Monday. This was the play. However, it just took a lot longer to play out than I originally thought, okay? So this was the play. This is this price here. Price is never as perfect as that, although this is crystal clear. Tell you time and time again. We kind of work with what we've got, but if you can see, large external range, we created a low, we liquidated that low, and that low was the catalyst to run the high again. Now, interestingly enough, this range reaction here was a positive break with a body closure. When we hit the whole all-time high again, we only just hit it with a wick, okay? So that there for me was my first indication, right? One trader in the group tried to buy this high up. and I specifically, not pre-warned, but I gave my insight to say, look, the nature of this, typically, if we are to continue with higher prices, we will run through any resting liquidity and close above it, then refuel, okay? But in this instance, something's updating again. In this instance, that didn't happen. We ran into the high and immediately it shot back into the range. Now, in doing so, we created some liquidity, right? And this was range bound price action. And this is going to lead me up to today's, right? We also ran up there yesterday, I believe. And again, we failed to take the high, right? So at this point here, this was our 4-hour low. If we're failing to take the high, what is the next logical target? The low, okay? Can't go higher. So the next logical target is the low. So what I'll do, I'll just make sure these are all synced and I'll show you this trade idea. Or I won't, I'll just click that and it will do absolutely nothing. It's funny because even though I've been doing this for how many years? 5 years. I'm still consistently shocking with my draw tools. So I'm going to take you through this morning. This morning's outlook, I said, okay, we're range bound, okay? The 15-minute is range bound. Sitting this price action out is never a bad thing. Trade what's obvious. Go through your trade book. We like to see price like this or trending ranges on the 15-minute with positive external break. So sitting it out was exactly the right thing to do if you have. So I know the majority of you have sat this out and I felt quite bad sharing my trade idea. But this idea is advanced for a reason, okay? So I had 1 failure, 2 failures. This told me that the market needs more liquidity to break the high, right? Now, I know I don't trade counters typically, but this was such a valid trade idea that when the opportunity presented, I just took it, okay? We had Asia highs here coming into the morning. Now, although it's Asia, we can tell that the price it's not impulsive. I know Asia typically ranges, but this was my high, okay? Now, when I seen this morning, I put in the Outlooks channel, we can play the 8 a.m. sweep. That is a move, okay? And we know the power of the 8 a.m. sweep. My candles are adjusted slightly off here, but if my session, sorry, but if you see this was the 8 a.m. candle, okay? Now, I was plotting to drive down for high time frame liquidity, okay? Now, we failed to break the high twice. We closed with the wick. Wicks are often an indication that the market simply needs more fuel. So as price drove into this area, I instantly got the rejection and I simply targeted the 4-hour, the 4-hour low, okay, which I already had marked, okay? And I got in and out for bang on 3%. Now, my entry wasn't the cleanest, right? You know the 8 a.m. volatility, especially on the German DAX. When it goes, it goes. I had this area marked here as a double session sweep with the recent high. And then I even had this area on my chart to get as close to this, like one of the externals. But as soon as this ran into here, 8 a.m., fear came into the market here. It was huge bullish candles. But on the opposite side of fear, people are getting liquidated. And I seen this wick and I just market executed and I targeted the H4 low. And as you can see, 8 a.m. candle would have been quite deceiving. I watched this candle play out with huge buying volume and honestly, even hitting market execute just felt like a risk. But this was my trade idea, okay? Now, I didn't promote this in the community because this is advanced for a reason. Unless you've got data, it's in the advanced module, right? Counter trends, what we need, right? We was bearish on the M15. It's the exact rules. I wasn't going to target the EQ. I was going to target less than the EQ. So if I put the EQ on the range, we're all the way down here. Targeting, having like a reserve target in a so obviously bullish market is always the best thing to do, okay? So where will I trade? Well, I'm going to take this range bound liquidity, the low. That's the obvious target to refuel for me, okay? 8 a.m. came, market executed. Within the hour, I got a notification saying profit hit. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I put in the group that I'm not looking to take the 4-hour sweep, okay? And hindsight, this was a foolish play by me. To be quite honest, I was happy with the profit. I was happy seeing my trade idea play out. And I just missed it. I missed the bigger picture. I barely even checked. My smartwatch went off to let me know that this area had been ran. And I even opened it. So let's just play it out, okay? On the 4-hour, we're struggling to take the highs, right? The market needs more fuel. What do we trade? We trade 4-hour liquidity sweeps inside a session in a trending market. It's absolutely textbook. What happened? In session, we came down. My session is slightly off. I do apologize. We came down. We swept. We got the confirmation candle, right? This, you would have your confirmation candle here. You cover this low and you target the all-time high or the range external for a 3% trade. If you see here, you would have an alert set at the stop loss, and you'd have an alert. It automatically alerts you at the take profit. So I got a tag. I would have got a tag saying your stop loss has been hit before being tagged in the trade, okay? So all you do in that instance is you remove the order completely. If I can see the delete button. Remove the order, and then you wait for your second confirmation candle. What do we see time and time again inside of sessions? The 15-minute liquidity gets double run at H4 areas. We always see this. It's like it almost traps buyers getting in too early, and then it liquidates them, and that's the real move. As you can see, we had a high here, liquidated. So people would have been risk entering this idea all over the world. Doesn't happen every time, but probably 50% of the time you'll get a double sweep. I do encourage you to collect data. All we do, we get a new confirmation candle, okay? You will go above the confirmation candle. You don't need the stop loss coverage, so you go to the wick, round it up to 40 if you wanted to. And then what would you do at this point? You would target the external range, okay? Now, where's the break-even point? We're going to go a 2 to 1, okay? Or the nearest high, the previous trade idea high, or a rigid 2 to 1. There's nothing here, is there? What is in this leg? Is there any liquidity in this leg that's going to give us a major problem, or is it this high? It would be this high. So this would be break even, all right? If it sets, so you have all of your risk off at this point, a 4 to 1, and this was the real move. Now, ignoring the fact that we've shot back into the range after the wick again, after we've took the external, we've blasted through it, and we've run into more liquidity, and we're starting another pullback phase. So I took this position, I missed this position, 3%, and I could have bagged 7% in this one single day. These sort of plays are what take you into the elite status of trading, okay? I missed it, and I've got no shame in that. I was happy with this profit, but I missed the real move. And this is what happens. You get so fixated on your one trade idea, and you often miss the bigger picture, right? We have sideways liquidity, obviously bullish, a 4-hour liquidity sweep, inside a session. The buy was always high probability than the sell at this point. Now, this is why I preach to you that backtesting is an important tool, but it's just a gauge. It's a gauge to show you. It's a gauge to give you the market experience, see how price moves. It's not in real time, but you start to see how it moves. You start to get a taste for losses without the psychology playing up. And ultimately, you get an experience going through the strategy, the break even, the entries. But it can give you a false sense of security. Backtesting, you wouldn't miss this sweep, okay? Right? You wouldn't miss it. It's textbook. You'd more likely skip price through, miss the counter trade unless you're specifically collecting data on counter moves, but you would just wait until the 4-hour sweep, okay? So backtesting is a great tool to showcase your understanding, showcase that the strategy actually works, but it doesn't give you realistic profit results or targets, okay? Again, no trader is perfect. Although I took profit today, I could have done better, okay? Now, you've got to be open to the fact that nobody is complete, okay? Every trader is constantly looking at ways to improve. Nobody can honestly say that they've reached where they need to be. Doesn't matter how much money they're earning, you can always do better. Now, as you know, my one task since this little busy period was to improve my execution. 2 trades, 2 wins, and I've accepted the outcome before entering the position, okay? Any questions, hit me up in the Discord community and let me know. This is a very useful video recap for you, and I hope you find some value. Now, one thing to sign off on, the majority of you are at the stage where you are trading inside the community now, and it's amazing to see, right? But I'm constantly telling you of my failures, right? Now, the plus side to me doing the outlook and you reading my thoughts is I am profitable. I've got the discipline and patience to take the high probability trades. And because of my capital, I'm more than happy to sit trades out now. But I still miss things, right? If you only learn by losing or failing or trying. If you've spotted this 4-hour sweep and I've said that I'm not taking it, I I know it's going to be difficult, but I urge you to take the risk on your demo, on your force. If you think I've missed something, use my outlook as a safety net, but take the trade. Like, I'm not perfect, I'm far from perfect, and I'm actually always improving. But I don't want to be the reason of you not entering a position. I want you to read my outlook, read the logic, and if there's anything that I've missed, you can either tag me in your idea or simply take the trade yourself. Thank you for watching, traders, and I'll see you on the next one. Any questions, pop them in the community. It's been a great day for us all.